Well, at last we seem to have had a little bit of rain in different parts of the country, and that means that we've got some much needed water to refill our water tanks and also to damp down the dust and to encourage more plants into growth. Now the north and west have had a little bit more over the last few weeks than the south and east, and we will need a lot of water to refill those water tanks, also the water supplies, the underground aquifers. So we still need to be very careful about how much water we use and not squander it, even though we've seen a little bit in the way of rain. The plants in my garden are really looking good. There's lots of summer colour from all sorts of things, including agapanthus and my beautiful lilies that I've planted up earlier in the season. And I'm really enjoying the summer in my garden. We haven't seen warmth and growth like this for many years, so it's a bit of a treat, even though it's a lot of work to keep the plants watered. So, what sort of things will I be getting on with? Well, I've got to keep deadheading some of my bedding plants, particularly the begonias. These have done really well this year, they're loving the heat. But the plants are actually not deadheading themselves. They normally drop their flowers as soon as they've finished, but actually some of the flowers have frazzled on in place because it's been so hot. So I'm picking through the plants, taking off any dead flowers, and just generally tidying them up a little bit. It's also been a great year for tomatoes, and I've got 5 or 6 trusses of fruit set on my greenhouse tomatoes. One of the problems really has been trying to keep the greenhouse cool, but I've shaded it, and I've also had my winter fan that I use for heating normally. I've had that on the cold setting just to pull some cold air into the greenhouse so that we don't get too high temperatures. But the tomatoes that are formed by my conspicuous watering and feeding really are now should be really ripening. So what I'm doing is taking off some of the foliage from the plants, some of the lower foliage, reducing some of the leaves back to a couple of leaflets at the base, so the whole long leaflet can be cut down with a pair of secateurs, just so it lets more light in to help ripen the fruit. Now there's been plenty of weed growth in the borders this summer despite the hot weather, but there's also been plenty of weed growth in the pond, and this duckweed really has completely covered the surface of the pond, so much so that I can't see the fish. So I'm scooping that out with an old kitchen sieve that's been press ganged into garden use, scooping that duckweed off, pulling it out. I'll never get rid of all of it, but keep on top of it every couple of weeks and you should be able to see the fish and have enough room to feed them. So there's another roundup. Things that you could be getting on with in your garden. If you need any more ideas, then look back over the last few weeks and months of this gardening YouTube channel and you'll find all sorts of summer jobs that you can be getting on with. But in the meantime, hope you're enjoying this wonderful summer.